So, guys, we are live and we are going to be talking about form versus experience today on today's show because it's something that came up on yesterday's show when we did the preview. We obviously know that we're going to be playing Australia in the fourth. Is it the fourth one? Yes, it's the fourth ODI. And we're hoping that South Africa can obviously bring the series back to 2-2. Now, at Centurion, it's a ground that's obviously very familiar to a lot of the players in the side. So we're going to be able to be a little bit more comfortable over there with the experience that we have if we pick the right lineup. Now, I'm going to go through some stats with you guys as well to also have a look at who are the players that are the most informed from a South African point of view with the bat, because I think the bat, yes, even though our bowlers have been struggling quite a bit in this particular series, I do think it's important that we also look at some of the batters and what they can do, because we have been struggling a little bit with regards to picking players that are in form. That's obviously going to be the main thing. You want to pick players that are in form and going into a World Cup, and whether we should pick players and trust them from a if you want to trust them, for example, with regards to their experience. At what point do you pick experience over over form? Of course, does it play a massive factor in selection? Does it is it important? Is it as important for this World Cup? All of those things we're going to talk about, but we're also going to start off the show with us going through the press conference of Keshav Maharaj ahead of the game. I think that's also important to hear what the players are thinking, what's in his mind, and what he's thinking about when it comes to this particular game and the series so far. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. Please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. We're only like 30 away from the 4,000 mark. So please, guys, get your friends and family that love cricket and South African cricket to subscribe to the channel. And also, if you guys want to help keep everything going here at Cricket Fanatics Magazine, we're really going to need your help. The patrons currently are making sure that we are keeping the show streaming and we are keeping this live and going on a regular basis. So become a patron today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And also like, comment, and share. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say about this particular topic. A very good evening. I don't know what's happening with the intro, guys, but a very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid Moidin, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today, the main topic is going to be about form versus experience, and I'm going to go through some stats a little bit later on the show. But to get this show started, I think let's first start with Keshav Maharaj and his press conference and react to what he had to say in the presser. I think that's where we're going to start today. So let's first go through that. It's important that we also get to hear what the players say ahead of the game and where they are at currently. So let's go through that first and see what he had to say and see what he feels, how he feels basically after that long injury, etc. So here's the Kesh presser.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's pre-match press conference ahead of the fourth Betway One-Day International between South Africa and Australia here at Supersport Park in Centurion. Joining us today from the team is Keshav Maharaj. As per all our other press conferences, it is hybrid. So we will look to take some questions from the floor first before we give an opportunity to those who have joined online. And I see Stu's hand is raised first, so you kick us off.
You've had a few games now post your rehab I was wondering how you found playing and moving around in field bowling and in the recovery, going from match to match.
Yeah, I think fortunately enough, I am back on the field again after some time. But yeah, it's just about the process, taking each day at a time. Obviously, there's obviously some room for improvement here, there, and everywhere, but it's building up towards something. The recovery is going pretty well as can be after each and every game. The main thing is that I can execute my skills, and that's a pleasing sign for me. But I think the medical staff have been phenomenal around that for me.
It seems if you look back over a couple of seasons when you guys played Australia, done well, when two spinners have played, is that something that the team is cognizant of and something they want to go forward with?
Yeah, I think it has been done in the past where two spinners have played, and we've done really well as a unit. But I think it's just based on conditions and what we faced with. Obviously, the last wicket presented some turn, and we utilized that with a spin. But we'll have to assess conditions in the day and try and see if we can combat with a double spin going forward.
Ken?
Thanks, Susie. How's it, Keshav? Congrats on your return and very well bowled the other night. Just following up on Zahir's question, Supersport Park has been quite a tough place for spinners in the past. First of all, do you think that's fair to say? And have you guys managed to have a look at conditions? Does it look like a typical Supersport Park wicket, or is it again going to be a bit more of a subcontinental touch to it?
Yeah, I think in general the traditional super sport wicket doesn't really assist spinners too much. We haven't, well, I haven't looked at the wicket as yet, but I know the coach and them are busy with that right now. We haven't actually named our team as yet, so we'll only know later today. But yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully, we can expose the double spin, but like I said, it's conditions based and how the wickets read.
Great. Myron?
Yes, there's a couple of games to go before this team goes to the World Cup. And
So conditions first up, like Ken mentioned over there, there is going to be a lot of there is a little bit of a change at Keshav at Centurion over the last couple of years. It hasn't necessarily been that fast-paced wicket like we normally used to see, particularly at the back end of the season last year. We in the SA20, we saw that the wicket wasn't the same. So two spinners might be another thing that they will look at. And if they do go with two spinners, there's a lot of positives with regards to that because Tabrei Shamsi, it's his home ground. He's used to that ground. So he knows the different types of conditions that Centurion has presented to games in the past. So let's see what happens with that. We'll obviously know when the teams are selected tomorrow what the wicket will probably play like.
there's a couple of warm-up games as well. 2-1 down in the series. How do you strike a balance between trying to go and chase a comeback and win the series versus ticking obvious boxes from a preparation point of view that Rob has been quite open about?
Yeah, I think the communication from Rob has been very good with regards to like sort of player rotation, if you want to call it. But I also think it gives us an opportunity to try various combinations within the series, building up towards the World Cup. And that's not making excuses for performance. Obviously, we haven't been at our best in the first two games, but we rectified that in the last game. So it's about building momentum because we could be posed with various situations in the World Cup where conditions change and we have to adapt the team. And obviously, we've got an amazing squad with a lot of variety. And whoever gets the call up on the day, I'm sure they'll stand up and take the team over the line.
Thanks. We're going to go Stu, then Zahir.
I saw the bowling group have a big sort of group chat out there. The seam bowlers in particular have been under pressure in this series. What has been the messaging internally about why they're not performing up to the standards that they have for themselves?
Yeah, look, I think the meeting you saw wasn't a crisis meeting. It's just our bowlers meeting that we have as a check-in. Yeah, look, I think we've acknowledged where we can be better as a unit, not just the seamers in general. But yeah, it's just about the lines and executions. I think if we're being honest, we haven't been the best with regards to our execution. So, we're building up. It got better in the last game. I know probably 100 after 11 overs doesn't really tell that. But if you look at the groupings overall from an analysis point of view, it is getting better. So hopefully it's building up towards bigger and better things and, peaking at the right time come to the World Cup.
You see, like it's going to be very generic from Keshav. He's not going to obviously throw anybody under the bus. He's not going to say something that's really outlandish. Ultimately, we're going to listen to him and have to take a read into that. Um, there's a lot to maybe think about. They haven't been the best, and they always talk about execution, and it's the execution. It's the consistency that we're lacking, the ability to be able to do the basics first and foremost before trying variations and all of those type of things. Like in the last three games, particularly in the first two, Bloom was the type of wicket that you allow the pitch to do the work, and you put the ball in the right areas. Similarly to Poch. Now we saw that when Gerald Coetzee put the ball in the correct areas, he made it very difficult for batters to get him away, and particularly the tail enders didn't have a good time against him, and you expect that. But when you put the balls in the right areas in general on pitches that are not necessarily bowler friendly, then it makes it a little bit harder for them to find easy scoring um, points within the field, because you want to be able to make it harder if the pitch is really good for the bat and the ball's coming onto the bat quite well. You want to make that job a little bit more difficult, and the only way you can do that is with your lines and lengths and putting the ball in the right area.
Yes, we know how much you enjoy batting, but in this team, it seems like it's going to be an important factor. 7, 8, 9. How much work are you personally and the rest of the lower order doing on this to do a job?
Yeah, look, I think even before the series, we had a series of camps building up towards that, and a lot of emphasis has been placed on the lower order batting unit. I think JP's been phenomenal, and Wandile in terms of throwing for lengthy hours to the lower order, and we sort of seen the dividends pay off. We've seen Plunk, yeah, sorry, Marco for you, for guys that don't know. We've seen bits and pieces of the hard work coming together, and like I said, hopefully everyone peaks at the right time, and yeah, I think the lower order we have contributed in the past, and it's about sort of building on those contributions because we do play a large role in the team when the batting part does come for us to stand up.
Great. We'll look to take one from Ken and then those online.
Kishore, were you surprised? I mean, you seem to be quite close to your best again in the previous game. But were you surprised how quickly that you got to that level of bowling already?
Um, it's hard to say. I think if you look at 4 months, I was still in a moon boot and finding my way to walk about. But yeah, I think I've put in the hard work behind closed doors in terms of my skill. Um, yeah, look, I'm just trying to bowl my best ball at all times, and fortunately enough, with a bit of assistance from the wicket, it probably highlighted that even more. But I think the real test will be coming on playing on wickets that don't really offer too much assistance. Then I'll be able to see if I'm close to my best or not.
Thanks, Ken.
That's true, eh? Because I think that's one of Keshav's best skills. I think he tends to be able to m- be a very handy player on wickets that don't really assist you. So that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. But I mean, it is quite remarkable how quickly he's recovered. It's been quite remarkable the way he's been, like you said, a moon boot 4 months ago, and then coming back and performing at a high level almost immediately. He had like one, I think, behind closed doors game, I think, for the Dolphins to just get himself in, and then bam, straight into the Proteas setup. So I've been very impressed with the way he's recovered from such a serious injury. We thought that he was going to be out for a lot longer as fans, but he made himself recover quickly and come be ready for selection for the World Cup and to get in enough games leading into the World Cup. So we must admire his work ethic and his determination to come back and play for the Proteas.
Online, Morgan, then Keenan.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Kesh. Kesh, you mentioned progress earlier. Where do you feel that the team has progressed the most? Because we've got to keep into consideration that it is a new coaching staff that's been in since the beginning of the year. You guys snuck into the World Cup. You're busy playing against the joint top-ranked team. So where do you feel that the Proteas have, shown the best over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think, look, performances probably hasn't highlighted the fact that we are progressing as a group. Obviously, with the new philosophies and stuff, it's about trusting in the process. And if I remember, one of the teams in the prior World Cups lost about 12 on the row, and they ended up winning a World Cup. Not to say that that we'll take that situation for granted, but I think it's about believing in the process. And if we take care of our basics and our processes, then performance will take care of itself. So I think from a growth, we've shown the depth in our squads. We showed that we can be versatile in various conditions and we can play under pressure because World Cup qualification was looming at one stage, and we managed to pull through in a difficult three series, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we're showing signs of growth. Obviously, we want to keep building, and performance is a defining criteria. So hopefully, we'll see the rewards of that going forward.
I
Thanks,
mean, not much
Keenan.
said there.
Thanks, Lucy. Kesh, could you speak about the importance of spin bowling in the subcontinent with the World Cup being in India, and also the importance of you and De Bruyne eating your straps over there?
Yeah, obviously we know India is a subcontinent conditions, and it's known for spin bowling. But it's just about believing in the process, doing the hard work, and making sure that we're executing and bowling our best ball. Whatever happens after that's beyond our control. So it's about just making sure that we're topping up on our skill work and trying to get better each and every day.
Thanks. We're going to go Nathan, then Fidos, and then look
But
to
these
wrap
very
with Mark.
generic answers, guys.
Thank you, Lucy. Kishi, how's the mood been in camp at the moment after Tuesday's win, especially after the tough losing streak with Australia?
Yeah, it's been there's been a lot of excitement. I think it showed in the change room afterwards. Guys connecting in a different sort of format where five losses back to back was tough, but to see the smiles on guys' faces, I don't think they'll take that for granted. And now that we got a taste, hopefully we can run with that momentum into the next two games and play our best cricket, building up towards that World Cup.
Thanks, Fidos.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Kesh. Kesh, how much of a motivating factor was knowing that you've got this World Cup at the end of the year to, really, you're obviously a diligent guy, you stick to your rehab and that sort of stuff, but was that kind of what your aim was, or was there some other goal you had in mind?
Yeah, I think, at the start of my journey, when after surgery and things like that, World Cup was a big thing for me. Having played in two T20 World Cups, I think 50 overs is very hard on the body. And that's something that I wanted to experience. I always like challenges for myself and, plotted the way, but still at 3 months and 4 months, I probably wouldn't have said I would have gotten here. But, with my medical team around me, we plotted a journey. And they just gave me the best chance, which I'm very grateful for. And, like I said, after 4 months, I sat down with them and seeing that I was very close to World Cup, it meant everything to want to play. And also, if you look at my forefathers, they are from India, so I do want to go back there and try to do something special for my country. So that was the motivation that I needed. And also, I think as a professional cricketer, you want to be a role model. So any guys with injuries out there, long-term injuries, there is hope at the end of the tunnel.
Thanks, Fidos. Mark?
Can I just do a quick follow-up? Sorry, I'll be super quick.
Sure, no worries.
Keshav, you spoke about this thing about wanting to be a role model, and obviously Sia and Kane Williamson have also come back from injuries quicker than expected. I mean, did you have any communication with them, or did you look at what they were doing?
No, I just used to obviously read in the paper and stuff, but I think I just put my head down and did what I feel was right. I sacrificed a hell of a lot during that time from a diet point of view, from a rehab point of view, from a recovery point of view, making sure I'm getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night. I was quite diligent. I put the family under pressure because in terms of diet, I only used to eat certain things. So I had to make sure I ate on time and things like that. So yeah, it's just about putting my head down and giving myself a chance. Look, I might not have got there, I might have got there, but at the end of the day, it's about giving yourself a chance to get back to a place where you feel you belong.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fidos. Mark?
Thank you. Just to follow up on for those a couple of questions. When did
It's
you
incredible,
realize
actually, if I
that you
think
had the
about it.
chance to get-
Kish, like I'm now that he's saying it, the diet, the determination, it's crazy. It's a really shows the determination by him and how he goes forward with regards to things.
get into the World Cup squad? Was there a specific day or moment that you can remember looking back now that you thought, okay, I didn't give myself much of a chance when I came out of surgery, but now I've got a decent effort?
Yeah, I think, look, after I came out of surgery, I said to myself, I'm going to give myself every chance. But I think, when you see how slow the initial phases of rehab is, you have that sort of negative thought here and there. But I think at 4 months, when I started to walk in a moon boot, look, I pushed myself beyond certain levels that I don't think most people would have been able to do. But fortunately enough, I did the right things prior to that. Like I said, I had a great medical staff with me, making sure I'm getting the right rehab and recovery work going. And then at 5 months, I started to believe once I started to run again, I'll always have a limp for some time. It's just teaching yourself how to do certain things again because you've been sort of dormant with the leg for a period of time. But I think at 5 months, I realized the dream is really reality now. And we can push to further things. And once I started bowling within that period, the belief never left me. I always knew I was going to get back on the field. It was only a matter of time.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Yeah, that's the end of the presser. Okay, so not really much to take away from that, other than the fact that they're going to improve and they want to improve and they're not hitting their straps quite yet, and they will eventually. They believe that they're getting better. Their bowling's getting better according to the stats. The areas that they're hitting from regards to the analysis. So we'll have to see tomorrow if that is true. On a wicket that I don't think is necessarily gonna be completely conducive to the bowlers. I do think that generally Centurion is a good batting wicket, but let's see how they handle that pressure. And being a 1 o'clock game in Pretoria, it's Australia. I do think people might leave work early to go and watch that game actually live. So there are going to be some fans, I think, in the stadium. So it will create a nice atmosphere there in Pretoria as well. Okay, so let's get into some of the live chat first. Before we get into the topic, watching the England versus New Zealand series produce don't stand a chance in that tournament reality, says Paul Terry. This is about the topic. Hello, Khalid. How are you? I'm here after a long time. Hope you remember me. Please do reply. I was a little bit busy since 5 months. That's okay. Thank you for coming back, Aditya. Yes, I do remember you. Welcome back to the show. If I'm not mistaken, you're a big Aiden Markram fan, if I remember correctly. Lorenzo, okay. He's talking about the topic. I'll get back into those a little bit later. Our seamers lack consistency and control, says Lawrence. We seem to struggle to string 6 good balls together. Hazelwood is the perfect example of someone who makes the batters earn their runs. Let's go into Aditya says we are those who wanted Markram to be dropped. Come on, if you really have a good cricketing knowledge, okay, I was right. Then you can't drop a player who is technically sound as well as can be dangerous. Best at number 4. Um, Lawrence asking, is there any news on Nokia yet? Not gonna lie, I'm getting a bit worried. Whenever a player goes for extensive scans, it's a little bit of a worrying sign. Happened with Malcolm Marks today. We're not sure. They told me 24 hours. Remember last night I asked, so we should be getting maybe an update sometime tonight, unless it's not going to be today, and we'll hear about it tomorrow morning. So we'll have to wait and see until the update comes through, but we haven't been updated on that. So the main topic of the show is obviously form versus experience. This is also particularly important when it comes to picking our batting lineup. There have been a lot of debates online about whether Riza should play again or Rassi. For example, Lawrence saying over here, Hendricks in the last 4 ODIs, 168 runs, 250s. He's 74 in India, average 42 with a strike rate of 84. His career numbers may be down, but Kanti is excellent, in excellent form in both formats. The Rassi, on the other hand, has been phenomenal for us for the last 4 years, averaging 70 plus for the best part of 3.5 years. I think we should embrace this conundrum. We need players pushing each other. Lorenzo says, I'm a firm believer in selecting players who's in form currently, especially in ICC events. Riza and Rassi van der Dussen are both experienced international cricket, so that's nullified. I was just about to say that actually. So form wise, Riza is your guy, and it's in response to this. Form is temporary, class is permanent. I do believe in that. That form is temporary and class is permanent. Yes, that's true. But when we're talking about an elite level of sport and we're talking about players that are all class players, then that is not, like Lorenzo said, that's nullified, because then it's got to do with the best players that are in form. Because form does play a huge role in the confidence of a player, in what they are what they're going to be able to contribute to the team for their success too. So I do think form is important when we are talking about high level sport. Has the form temporary classes tournament ever won us a World Cup? No. So it's time to do the right thing and select on form. Yes, it might still not be enough, but at least you select the form players. Lawrence saying, okay, I've read that out already. If Rassi plays tomorrow and makes a big score, then the conversation changes. But there's just no way Riza won't play after scoring 40 in just one match. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to bring up the stats for the last year in ODI cricket. And we're going to have a look at it together so that we can both all see what's been going down with regards to the Proteas batting lineup. So within 10 matches, Temba Bavuma is right on top. He averages 80, 300s, 250s, strike rate of 103. Very good numbers for an opening batter. Then second on that list in 12 matches is Aiden with an average of 56, 200s and 250s. So very good in the last 12 games. Then third is Heinrich Klaassen, 53 average, 100, 250s at a strike rate of 125. So a player that is in form when you take it in the last 12 games. Then David Miller, 12 games, 406 runs, 50 average, 114 strike rate, and 450s. Probably one of the most out of form batters are Quinton de Kock, 11, 30 average, strike rate of only 95, and 150 to his name in the last 11 games. Rassi van der Dussen in 9 games, 257 runs, 28 average, 86 strike rate, and 100. So then we've got Marco Jansen in 10 matches, an average of 30, 105 strike rate, obviously no 50s. But if you look at Riza Hendricks here in the last 4 games, he averages 42, strike rate of 82 with 250s. Then we've got Naman Malanya in 3 games, averaging 20, but we're not going to talk about him right now. So when it comes to form, it's clear to see that Riza Hendricks is the one that is more in form out of them, right? So he got the last game, and I think it would be a little bit unfair to drop him after the performance he had and with an unlucky run out that he received. For me, Rassi van der Dussen is at a stage in his career that I feel that whenever he gets the opportunity, he must try to do something. He must try to score runs. He needs to do what Riza does, because that's exactly what Riza does. Riza he's not in the team. He's left out, comes back and he scores immediately. So that is something that I would expect from Rassi as well. So we could actually, if we wanted to, play Riza as an opener with Temba and then have Rassi play as well, because we need both of them to get some momentum and form. We could possibly rest Quinton de Kock. That could be a possibility for tomorrow's game. But then and he's gotten 2 half centuries under his belt now or close to one almost half century and 1 half century under his belt now. So at least Quinny is starting to find his form. So I would like to know from you guys, when it comes to tomorrow's game, who would you go with for your top 6? Are you going to drop Rassi, or are you going to keep Rassi on the bench and give Riza another chance? Are you going to drop Quinny and bring Rassi in and move Riza to open, or are you going to drop Riza and play Rassi? I'd like to know what your guys' top six would be. Khalid, what do you think of our 8, 9, 10, 11 in the World Cup? Um, still, there's still work to be done there. I don't think our bowlers are really hitting their straps quite yet and finding their rhythm. And I think there's quite some time that there's a lot of time that they need to get into the flow of things. A lot of game time, a lot of overs they need to bowl so that they can get into the swing of things. Klaasen sometimes goes too hard from ball one. Have to be a little patient. Yes, he does. I think we will play Rassi only at number 3 in World Cup, and that's not a bad thing, says Aditya. Janssen is dangerous, man. He should look to play long. He's the best at number 7 currently, yes. And Aditya asking, can they rest Quinton de Kock or any of the batters for Rassi? It's possible that they could, obviously. I mean, anything's possible, I guess. But for me, I think Rassi does need, if we're going to play Rassi in the World Cup as our number 3, he can't be not having any game time unless it's a straight shootout between Rassi and Riza. Then I would go with the one that is more informed between the two. So it would be a good idea. And I remember, I think Lawrence said it on yesterday's show. It would be interesting to see a shootout between the two of them in the same match for that number 3 position. I mean, you could look to also even perhaps maybe play. No, he can't actually because we need Aiden for his extra spin bowling. So I was even considering maybe this giving Aiden a little rest after his century because it was a good knock. But that Centurion, it's his home ground and stuff. You're going to want to try and play your best players at Centurion. And he's had very good success at Centurion. Lawrence says his team would be Bavuma, Riza, and Rassi. So you'll drop Quinton, Markham, Klaas, and Miller. Maybe this is wishful thinking, but I would give both Riza and Rassi to go see them battle them out. Rest Quinton de Kock. Don't think they will, though. Laugh out loud. I think the same top 6 for tomorrow can rest one batter on Sunday, but still I feel Temba, Quinton de Kock can be rested tomorrow if they want to play Rassi. I do this tomorrow. Temba, Riza, Rassi, Markram, Klaas, and Miller. Quinton de Kock, I'd give a rest. Straight shootout between Rassi and Riza. So the brothers are obviously agreeing with each other. Well, not obviously, because they don't always, but the brothers are agreeing with each other there. Aditya Khalid, remember that Rassi played well in 2019 World Cup? Yes, he did. He did play very well in 2019 World Cup, but it's 4 years later now. He has been struggling with his form, as I showed you, in his last 9 games, only averaging 28. He's really been struggling with only 1 century to his name, and batting also at a very low strike rate. So he is struggling a bit. So we must decide if we're going to play him into form and give him tomorrow's game and the last ODI, perhaps. Rest Quinton de Kock maybe for the last game or for the warm-ups. Because Quinton de Kock is a type of player that is a very X-factor player. He can come, he can just turn it up. He can be rubbish one game and the next game he's just suddenly firing. I don't think he's necessarily a form type player. Like I think Rassi is a type of player that is a form type player, and Riza too. When they in form, they're consistently in form. They're producing top quality performances on a consistent basis, and they very suddenly do not score when they are in form. Whereas I think Quinton de Kock is a different type of player. He's a type of player that can have a bad game in the previous game and then come out firing the next game and be excellent. So he is a player that you can rest. He's not a player that has to play every single game. I think Pavuma is also a similar type of player to Riza and Rassi with regards to form. He's a player that plays amazingly when he's when he has his confidence, and he's in a good space. And then he tends to be very consistent, like he has been throughout this tour. So let's see what they do. I don't think it would be a good idea, DJ, to rest our captain. I think Temba needs to play and get familiar with his team as best as possible. See what all of them have to offer consistently, all of those type of things. There was already a game that he didn't really captain in the field because of cramp, and Aiden took over. So I'd like to obviously see Temba get as much time as captain to familiarize himself with what these players' strengths and weaknesses are by being out there in the middle and utilizing them under pressure. So yeah, I think we've had a decent show with regards to this particular topic, form versus experience. The live chat has really shown, um, the live show has really shown what they think is the importance between the two and when we use it and when we don't. Khalid, who is the vice captain officially? There was an official announcement about the vice captain, but I assume is Aiden, because when Temba wasn't available to captain, Aiden took the captaincy. So he is ultimately the vice captain and the T20 captain. So that is my view. That is my understanding of it. They didn't really announce it like that. Like he's the vice captain, he's the captain. I don't think they have a leadership group. They always say that support and help Timba with regards to that. Um, so yeah, when it comes to form and experience, like I said at the top of the show, when it comes to elite sport, you have to assume that everybody is a class player. Majority of the players are already professional in their class. And that's why I would go with form when it comes to tournaments, particularly because you can't be having people finding themselves in a tournament when every game is a must win, especially with how competitive this particular league, I mean, this particular World Cup will be with you playing every single opponent. So, yeah, Khalid, you know me by now. I just want the best and informed players to play. That's our best chance. Yeah, and that is what it is. So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to the magazine and download the latest issue. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also, help support us by becoming a patron today. Link is in the description. Smash the like button, comment, and share, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all the regular updates. I will see you guys again tomorrow for the game. After the game, directly after the game, we will go live with our review show where you guys can give your insight into everything and what you think about the game. So go watch our preview show where we give our 11s and we talk about who we think should play, etc. That was your last night show. That was the longer show. Today is just a filler because, of course, we are going to be watching the game tomorrow and then reviewing it. Last comment, I think Kutsia, Mara, Shamsi, Rabada, and Nokia can be our 8, 10, 8 to 11. Maraj or Shamsi, Rabada, and Nokia can be our 8 to 11. And Kutsia. Yeah, but I think they'll play two spinners. That's what I think they'll do. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another review show. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out.